Hey guys, in this episode, we're going to talk about the movie Life of the Party starring Melissa McCarthy. We're going to give you our thoughts on the film overall, we'll tell you what we loved about it, and what we felt could have been improved upon. All that and more on episode 39 of the Reel-ists podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the Reel-ists podcast. This is Donnie.
And Oscar.
And our producer, Ruben.
Hello.
Hello. Ruben's going to be sketching some things on the side, he told us.
He's going to be working on a new project.
So this is the 411 with Ruben. So about a couple days ago, he was approached.
It's a new project he can't disclose, he says.
Very top secret. So that's all we can say. We won't say any more.
Follow his Instagram if you guys want more information.
Want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for listening, being great fans that you are. Before we get into this episode, we just wanted to go over a couple of things.
Housekeeping.
First things first.
We're the Reel-ists. It goes.
Yeah, it does. That was a good one. Good job. What was the first thing? Oh, I was going to say, please continue to spread the word about the Reel-ists podcast to everyone you know. Always look on the bright side of things. So here's the thing. We did a call to action a couple episodes ago, but we're going to do it again because we need your guys' help. So we are asking all of our listeners that listen to us on iTunes.
Apple
Podcasts. If you guys can please rate us, leave us some feedback so we can know basically how we're doing, with our podcast and some things that we can improve upon. Tell us, you don't have to go into this whole long spiel, but it would be so helpful if you could just kind of just drop a quick comment like, hey, I love this, but I don't like that. You guys should work on that.
Yes, absolutely. Simple, we really want to, we really want to kind of start to get feedback on how we're doing. We want to make sure we're giving what you guys want to listen to. We don't want to just, do things and talk about things.
Because we are very mindful of you guys. We are very mindful of our listeners, and we want to bring you guys what you guys want from us. So,
within the context of our podcast.
Yes, as long as it follows, the guidelines of what this podcast is about.
I want book reviews.
I want music reviews. I want album reviews. Those podcasts will come later.
Season 2.
Yeah, right. So if you guys could please do us that huge favor, we would greatly appreciate it. And just, once again, continue to spread the word. Remember to check back every Thursday because we're putting out new episodes every Thursday. So be on the lookout for that always. And anything else?
No, just, follow us on social media if you haven't done so already. We have 3 different ways to interact with us.
We do. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter.
And if you have us on one and you have the other social medias, just go ahead and add us on the other ones.
Right?
Make it a trio.
Why not? The Holy Trinity.
Exactly.
That's Team Reel-ists, Team REELISTS, no dash. We out here. You already know where to look.
Yep.
And I think that's about it.
I think so.
There was something I wanted to say. It's escaping me. I should have wrote it down.
Thursday?
Yeah, I said that. There was some... I can't remember. Maybe it'll come back to me in the very middle of the episode.
Right.
That's when it usually does. So this week we are reviewing Life of the Party, starring Melissa McCarthy.
Woo, woo.
And a great cast of characters. So before we get into it, let me just read a little spiel about what the movie is about. When her husband suddenly dumps her, a long-time and dedicated housewife, Deanna turns regret into reset by going back to college. Unfortunately, Deanna winds up at the same school as her less-than-thrilled daughter. Plunging headlong into the campus experience, the outspoken new student soon begins a journey of self-discovery while fully embracing all of the fun, freedom, and frat boys that she can handle. Oscarito.
Whoa. I didn't know that was going to be that elaborate.
I know. That was pretty detailed, right? As opposed to some of the other ones we've had where it's a one-liner. Sometimes IMBD, they're just short and sweet and simple and to the point. And then other times they want to get a little...
It's user-generated, so...
They want to get a little more...
I guess we can find out who are the real fans of movies if they elaborate on their synopsis.
Right. What'd you think of this one, Oscar?
I will say,
because I loved it. No.
our guest that we had. I'm saying guest over here.
Oh yeah,
our
very good friend Eric,
who is maybe listening to this.
If he's a really good friend, he should be listening to it.
If he is listening to us, he will text us as soon as he hears it that he is listening to it. We'll find out.
We will find out this Thursday. So, Eric, you're like being tested right now.
But yes, yeah, we saw it with him and he loved it. So that's where you saying that comes from. But well, my thoughts of you saying that. So I really do like the positive image and message that this movie delivered on. It really was nice to see that, it's a bad situation doesn't necessarily have to bring your entire life down, or you have to bring others down. Doesn't give you a reason to do that. And this movie did that in a good way. Melissa McCarthy performed as a mom who was trying to make the best out of her situation, and I believed it. I really felt that she was just really trying to find that positive spin on not having to have a husband anymore, or going back to college. She really was like, oh, I always wanted to do this in college. Oh, I really enjoyed this. Ooh, girl talk, like all those things that she probably missed out on. She was going to go back to it. I liked it. I really liked that positive message. In terms of the movie as a whole, though, I did feel like it wasn't a complete story to me, in the sense that it was just like, I felt like it was just a moment of this character's story, and it wasn't the full story. I mean, I know they showed the graduation, but I felt like the graduation was kind of just like more of a wrap up rather than a fitting end, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Those are my quick thoughts of that.
Okay.
What about you?
I really liked it. I thought it was one of the... I will say that out of all the comedies that we've seen so far, I laughed the hardest on this one. Not consistently like the whole entire film, but when I did laugh, I was laughing pretty hard. A lot of that was specifically, for Melissa McCarthy, and a few moments were because of Maya Rudolph, who was in the film as well. And she was
her character.
Hilarious.
Phenomenal.
Hilarious. So yeah, I definitely laughed the hardest on this one. It was it was kind of like another one of those, like, I would say a feel good comedy. Like it wasn't too very like raunchy or racist or, like jaw dropping. Some moments were jaw dropping, but it wasn't like trying to like, provoke you or get you like shock value like some of the other ones. But it, like you said, it had a really good story, and it was like, it was nice because her character was like, she was this very like likable, lovely lady, and this mom, and it's, she was in a very unfortunate situation right off the bat because she got divorced, or her husband said, I want to divorce you, which was like, oh, so you instantly, and she's so nice and loving and motherly, so you instantly just feel, sympathy for her, and which I think carries throughout the entire film. You're always just like, kind of rooting for her to, like, whatever she wants to do, you want to see it happen, and don't want to see anything bad happen to her. But I really did like it. I'm trying to think like what specifically I liked. I mean, Melissa McCarthy, she was great. Like a lot of her, even when she wasn't delivering a lot, like a punchline or a joke, just her being the character was very entertaining to me, like entertaining to watch, and was very like comical in and of itself, I think. So that was like one of the biggest things that I really liked about it.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Yeah, I will say the only thing in terms of element that took me out was a lot of the activities she was getting involved with. I get it's a comedy. I know it has to be over the top intentionally. Mm-hmm. But to some extent, I just feel like, as her being a mother, I just feel like she wouldn't be doing a lot of what she did. The part that
we're looking at this from a realistic standpoint, right?
That's
we're
right.
What our podcast is about.
Like, I just feel like there was some activities. The one that I felt was genuine was the first time when she got out with her daughter, and like they gave her like a makeover, because that was kind of her way of being able to let go of how she was with her husband, and like that kind of lifestyle, and kind of give herself a new image. That part I really liked. But the continuation of her just hanging out, like, going to parties and those kinds of things, it did take away from me to how much she was actually focused on college. I didn't even feel like she was. There was times where I'm like, are you even doing this for like the actual you want to graduate because you said you never graduated. You want to complete that. It got lost sometimes with more of just like, oh, what crazy stuff can we go do now? The only thing that they really hammered down on in terms of her getting her education was that one class.
Yeah.
I got this. She was trying to major in anthropology. No. Archaeology. Yeah.
Which go ahead, continue. Go ahead.
Oh no, but yeah. So I mean, that was the only class that we were told about, and that was the only one that she really had a matter in terms of like she was struggling with. Well, she was doing fine with everything, but the live presentation she had to do. That's
right. The oral presentation.
Yeah, that's the only thing she struggled, but she got over that. On her second.
Which was interesting because I mean, it didn't seem like it's not like she had a problem speaking in front of strangers or like in front of a group of people, like when she was always talking in front of her daughter and all her friends and everyone in the sorority house. So it kind of was like, well, now you have a fear of speaking. Like, I don't know. They didn't. I wish they could have like hinted at that a little bit, like in the beginning or something. Like maybe she was like, oh, maybe that was one of the reasons why she didn't graduate or something. I don't know. Like, oh, I don't, right. I have a terrible fear of speaking, but it didn't. When that did come up in the film, like she's like, I can't, I don't like public speaking. And then it was like, oh, really? Like you didn't seem like that. So it was kind of like, I felt like it was kind of just thrown in there.
Right.
Which Ruben agrees. Good.
One check mark. We're good. So far,
so far so good. So I will say there's a couple things as we were watching this film, there were a couple, like what our podcasts, we're always looking at situations from a realistic standpoint, always thinking how situations would play out in real life, how characters would really act or react in real life. So I have not quite a few things, but I have a couple of things that I was thinking of. May I share them?
Of course.
Okay. So one of them, and a lot of these are just kind of small technical like details.
Nitpickies.
Yeah, I'm just nitpicky, but that's just, my brain just works like that. So one of them was, okay, her daughter was starting her senior year, and then she decided that she was going to go to college, right? So
right.
As we know with college, and admissions, there's all these dates and deadlines. So, I mean, it was very convenient that she was just able to be like, oh, I'm going to attend the same school too. And then, bam, she was in it.
Yep.
So that was one thing. I'm like, okay, you don't have to reapply. You don't have to wait for like the spring term or spring semester.
Right. They got glossed over really hard.
All those things. And I think you've definitely have, had this whole experience with going to like an actual 4-year university. So it's like, like those things are important, like deadlines and dates and like getting in applications in time, financial aid, like all those things are so like prevalent in the whole like going to college. Like it's just like they're dire. So I was like, dang, they could have like shed light on it a little bit and not just glossed it over.
And that too, kind of just bouncing off of what you said, her being able to be immediately close to graduation as well.
That was another thing. So that was next on my list. So,
I get what they were trying to say in the sense that she didn't finish, but it's not like a GED where, you just take that one course and then if you pass, you get your GED. But yeah, that was odd.
So that leads me to the next kind of point that I have. So it didn't really, did it specify when she was in college prior to re-entering? Like it was just, like, I would assume, like, the normal age, like 21 or 20 years old.
It was...
She was about to finish.
But she had the kid.
And then she had the child.
Yeah.
So, that's about, what, 20, 21 years ago?
About, yeah.
So, like, graduation requirements have changed a lot since, I'm sure, 21 years ago. And some of the prerequisites that she might have fulfilled back then probably don't, correlate to now. Because the college systems are changing and evolving and getting more, more things that you have to do. So that was another thing I thought about. I was like, I
think the thing that is more bothering, it's not necessarily that, she got to that point where she's close to graduating, that it just wasn't addressed. I think that's probably our biggest thing is that I understand if they didn't want to go through like the actual hurdles of like, oh, how does she actually become close to on par with her daughter graduating? But they could have just thrown the line. They could have just said, an exception was made or something like that.
Something
that just says this is why
like, give
we're
me a
able
bone.
to move.
Just throw me a bone. That's all I need. Like, I feel like I didn't even get a bone.
And I feel like when you lack the explanation, even if it's a minor explanation, it doesn't have to be like a whole scene and actually have a cast of the dean or whatever. They don't have to do all that, but I feel like when they don't do those minor things, it does take it out of the element of saying this is more of like a fantasy than an actual like situation. Like, this doesn't encourage anyone to go back to school because you can just go finish off where you started. This is just more of like the theme became something completely different. And so I get that wasn't their intention to kind of be like, you guys can all go back to school, but if you're going to go with that course, you should be able to back it up.
Right.
Or at least even if in a fictional sense, explain why. Just be like, hey, we're making an exception because technically your class was not restricted by graduation guidelines or anything like that. So therefore you can just take a few more classes and graduate. Like, something like that. That just kind of like, oh, okay, so this is an odd situation, it's an exception to the rule, I guess.
Another thing too, one more just kind of nitpicky thing was like I know that she said she was an archaeology major, so I was kind of waiting for like a joke about, oh, archaeology majors like that's not really a good major to choose anymore, or like something, because I've read so many articles that say like, that was a great major to do years ago, but like nowadays it's probably not the best one to pursue, or if you want to do that, pursue like civil engineering, which is one that I hear all the time. So I was kind of waiting for like something, or I guess I was expecting them to say that, but they didn't, but it's fine. But I was just like, archaeology? I wonder why just randomly, if they was just like, oh, we're going to make her just like say she started an archaeology degree and like have her finish. I wonder why it wasn't something like
that's a good point. Who knows if it was related, like maybe that's what Melissa McCarthy, because I believe she wrote the script. If I'm wrong, fact check me on that, but I believe she had like a say in the script, or she was involved in that. Mm-hmm. Which in that case, I could see if like maybe she had a connection to that when she was like, oh, when I wanted to be in college, or if she did go to college. I'm not sure in her background. I could see there could be some kind of ties. Yeah. Some kind of like winks of the history of, the real actress portraying this character and stuff like that. Right. But yeah, no, I did kind of feel like it was like, feels out of place with your major. And that's not to say that those who are interested in that is a diss or anything like that. I just feel like the audience majority is going to have a more common major that maybe that would have been nice to tackle on, so more people can relate to their current struggles in class or class presentations. Yeah, that's like saying if she went to college and she was going to graduate in candyology, which is not real. But what I'm saying, like something that's not like you actually can,
the study of candy. No, absolutely. But I mean, aside from, and like I said, those are just me being kind of like nitpicky, and not even nitpicky, but I was just observing, I would say more observant and like things that I was just aware of. But aside from all those, the movie was still really fun, a really great story. I love that the daughter's friends, everybody in like that house, like welcomed the mother so like with open arms, and it really towards the end of the, like as we see the film progress, like you could really see that, she was really mothering to all of her daughter's friends, and they were really accepting and embracing of it. So, and it was kind of cool that they, it's like everyone was kind of happy about it, except for the daughter. But even the daughter wasn't too, I thought at some point the daughter would get really, really, irritated by having her mom there.
The cliche plot.
Yeah, like, you're ruining my life. Like, why don't you just go back to being a mom? Stop trying to be like my friend or something. But the daughter, it never took that approach, which I'm thankful for. And I think it left us with a very just like sweet taste in our mouth, because it's like, see, like a mother and a daughter can be, like, I don't know, spend all this time together. And like, even though at first it kind of seems like the mother was being intrusive in like the daughter's life, like,
but the daughter was
okay with it.
Sympathy for the mom.
Yeah, because she was going through something that was,
that definitely was a highlight for me. To be able to see a kind of positivity mindset into situations that people are actually do experience in real life. You really could have gone a cliche route of this is, a mom trying to be cool all over again, and daughter is, so embarrassed, but at the end she realizes, her mom is cool, therefore she's cool. It could have gone that route, but it did not. So that's definitely a good point that I take away with it. It's nice to see that change. It worked well. Once I realized they weren't going to have that kind of plot point, I was more interested in the daughter as a character as well. So I started to actually enjoy what the character was doing with her mom rather than waiting for that conflict. And the friends too as well. Like, yeah, she really became the mother of the location, or not the location, but like the frat house. But yeah, it was really different. I welcomed that change.
Yeah. Also too, like, this film, it never really, I mean, there were a few little, like, so yeah, she got, what I'm trying to say is, it's never like we came to this very, like, screeching, like, climax in the film where, like, something super detrimental or devastating happened. Like, yes, right off the bat, her husband tells her she wants a divorce. But the film is really her just kind of trying to, like, finish this chapter that was started, earlier in life, and we kind of get to go on the journey. But, they tried to throw in, like, the husband is marrying, getting remarried to this woman that she doesn't like, and
yes,
turns out that Melissa McCarthy is starting this kind of relationship with one of the college boys, and it turns out that the mother of the son is the one who's going to get married to her ex-husband. So, like, there was that whole thing. But I mean, she wasn't even really too bothered by it. And I mean, other than that, and other than, like, those two mean girls that they were kind of throwing in,
when I realized
too, like, in the class,
we didn't do a spoiler.
Oh, we did not.
We did not.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Just realized that halfway through, but continue. Sorry, it came up through. I was like, wait a minute, that's spoilers when you said that. I was like, oops.
Yeah, sorry guys. Hopefully they've listened to an episode before and know that we do spoil.
We can call us the spoiler realist podcast.
Right. But like, yeah, I mean, I was just saying all that to say, like, there was nothing. There wasn't really, at least to me, it didn't seem like there was a moment in the film where I was, like, super saddened or super, like, angry at a certain character for doing something wrong or anything like that, They try to give the movie a bully.
Yeah,
like that mean girl,
but it didn't.
And her friend, but it didn't.
Yeah,
really,
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it, not necessarily because
it didn't really resonate.
It just felt off. I'm like, in college, you don't have that kind of...
It was more like she was trying to be, it was like a high school girl.
Yeah.
Like, in high school, that character totally would have fit. Mm-hmm. But in this film...
And I can understand if there was a reason why she was this kind of, like, maybe, Melissa McCarthy did something to her earlier in the movie, or her daughter actually, was the reason why she didn't get an A in an assignment, or, some kind of reason why she's being rude to these characters. But no, yeah, she just, from the start, she was just being rude. And I get that there are rude people in life, but this one came off a little too hard of, this is a bully that would fit in high school rather than college. That was another element that was unnecessary, and it did not provide a conflict for this movie. Like, this movie, I think what you're trying to say is, like, there was no direct conflict that the main character, that Melissa McCarthy, was trying to overcome. She really was just going through a year of college that I guess you could say the bully was a conflict. Her oral presentation that she struggled with was a conflict.
I think if anything, that was, like, the biggest conflict.
And then that other plot where they needed to raise money was, like, a conflict. Like, those were, like, very, very minor conflicts.
Yeah, they were very minor.
That did not establish the character growing. I mean, and I think the court, well, not the court, I'm sorry, let me take that back. The divorce actually ended with the son mom plot twist, right? I don't think they ever showed those characters after that, if I'm not mistaken.
After that scene?
That dining scene where they're having dinner, and then the ex-husband comes with the new girlfriend, and then Melissa McCarthy's quote unquote love interest comes.
Well, at the wedding too, when they were
when
they messed up the like reception hall.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
When they like trashed that place.
That's right. Yeah. That one I did forget about that one. That's bad if I don't remember. Obviously.
It's okay. Obviously, it wasn't a memorable scene for you, so it's all good. No, but I wanted to ask you, Oscar. So, I wonder. Not that I'm sorry. I don't wonder. My question was, I was trying to figure out how to phrase it, but I was gonna say, let's take it back to your senior year in college, and say like your mom or dad, for whatever reason, they were like, "Mijo, you may not know this about me, but I'm a year shy of graduating from UC Berkeley. I know, I'm sorry I didn't tell you, but I really just want to finish my degree." Not only finish my degree, like let's say I had the same situation as the characters in the movie. Let's say you were, living on campus, had your group of friends, had your little life at the college, and your mom or your dad was like, "I want to come and, live on campus and get the full college experience that I never had." Would you be okay with that? Would you be like, "Sure, come on down"? Or would you be a little hesitant? Would you be like, "This is my senior year of college. Like, I don't want my parent there"? How would you feel?
That's a tough question for two reasons. One being that I didn't have a lot of common lifestyles for college. And that's like in the situation, I never did dorm. I never, joined any, groups or anything like that. So from the question of if I was in that situation, I would have to do a lot of like fictional placements in that sense. So that's the second reason, that it would be a lot of things I'd have to kind of create. But the general idea that if my parent was joining me my final year, I would not be bothered by it. I would not be too harsh on like, "No, leave me alone, give me that space," only because I don't have that kind of like, I want to be my own person, blah blah blah. I knew, like, that was always going to come. I knew that was going to happen in my life. So there was no point in just trying to establish that. So I think just who I am, I would have not had a problem with my mom or my dad joining the school in my final year, unless they were trying to replicate everything I had. Like if they're like, "Oh, I want to be in that class. I want to graduate in your major." Because at that point, I don't feel like it's them wanting to do what they want to do.
You're just wanting
they wanted, copy. And especially if they went to my same part-time job. Like if all those things where they were mimicking, then it becomes an issue. But if it was just straight up, I'm going to, graduate in, I'm trying to think what. I think my mom would do psychology. And then my dad would probably do some kind of engineering. In a in a perfect world, if they wanted to get those degrees. But yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't have an issue if they were like their own thing, and if it fit where we can carpool, awesome. I would always be down for that. But yeah,
I pay toll today, you pay toll tomorrow.
Exactly. But I wouldn't be so harsh on my dad going to the same college with me. I probably wouldn't even say it out loud. He'd be like, "Bye, Dad."
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be like he's dropping me off. It wouldn't be a lot of those, teenage moments where it's like, "You're embarrassing me."
Yeah.
So I would not mind it. But if I was in that dorm setting and they were trying to follow me every second, then yeah, that would be a problem. So it's kind of in that. Me personally, no, it would not bother me unless they were doing the most.
Okay, they were doing too much, pretty much. Gotcha.
And like Melissa McCarthy's character, I felt she was borderline doing the most.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to stay. Oh, she actually. Well, see, the thing is, she didn't stay with them until they accepted her. But that felt natural when she joined them. I'm glad that she didn't immediately like, "I'm just gonna live here with you, daughter."
Yeah.
I'm sad I don't know the characters' names. I'm saying daughter and mother and all that, like Melissa McCarthy. Like I'm saying. But yeah, so that kind of relationship, I feel like it would be very close to the point where I'd be like, "Okay, I'm going to do this. You do not have to do this." And I'm glad the daughter didn't do that.
Yeah.
Anthropology class.
Archaeology. Anthropology. No, absolutely. I was kind of putting myself in the daughter's shoes too, and thinking like, if like I was in my senior year of college, and like if one of my parents was like, "I want to, kind of have the same, basically do what Melissa McCarthy did." I don't think I would have an issue with it.
I wouldn't be doing their work for them. Like I know my parents would be like, so can you submit this email that I have to send to my professor? I would be like, no, I'm not sending your emails.
Yeah.
No, I'm not logging into you to see what your transcript is.
Oh yeah, for sure. How do I log into my student portal? I'd be like, I showed you that already. No, but for sure. Did you have like a standout scene or a standout moment from this movie? One that like
in terms of comedy, given that this is a comedy, yes, I had when they were in. I don't know if it was like a courtroom or like not a courtroom, but it was like an office in the like city hall kind of building where they had that one person that was trying to help
kind of litigate the
whole
exactly
divorce
and
yes and the items yes.
Mm-hmm.
That I enjoyed that
she was
scene.
A mediator.
And then Melissa McCarthy brought her friend
Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, and that whole interaction was hilarious when they were like, "Please address only to me." And
yeah,
so
for sure, I think hands down that was probably a lot of people's favorite scene.
Yeah,
that's definitely where I like remember the like our theater, like the people in our theater laughing a lot. It was just a great, well written scene. I'm curious to know like how much of that was improv and how much of that was strictly like the script.
That's true.
I always love like finding out like what lines were just kind of thought of on the spot.
Right.
But yeah, that whole scene was probably for sure. I'm gonna take your answer because that's my answer too. That was my favorite scene. Maya Rudolph really did. She had a lot of. She didn't have that many moments, but
she shined in her moments.
And I almost got a little I almost was like, like she's kind of stealing the show a little bit. Or stealing the movie a little bit, but I don't think she like took anything away from like Melissa McCarthy's performance because there were two completely different characters, but they both were so funny and hilarious. So
I will say the one thing that I didn't like was the Christina Aguilera cameo.
It was so random.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't it? Was it not, Ruben? Wasn't it just like the most random?
That was like what?
Like how did I felt like they could have at least thrown in a line somewhere and they're like, I love Christina Aguilera, or like had her playing in the background or something throughout the movie so it would make sense. Like,
yeah,
maybe the daughter could have been a big Christina Aguilera fan. Something.
Yeah,
that was the most random.
It was
why?
So random.
Yeah, it just it brought an element that was not needed and did not overall make an impact. It was part of them fundraising, but we didn't take that away, and it's still the same scene. It's still like the same.
Yeah,
the plot still moves on.
No, for sure. I'm right there with you. Okay, well, with all that said, do you have a final real score for this one?
I do. I'm gonna give it.
Wait.
Oh,
let me guess. We haven't done this in a while. I think you're gonna give it a. Let's see. It's Oscar I'm talking to. Let's see. You're gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
Very close. A 2.5.
Okay, that was my first guess, and then I was like, let me take it back.
Okay,
2 out of 2.
You're like
2.
he's
5.
harsher. He's too harsh.
He's a little more strict.
Yes. No. 2.5 only because the positives were different in a way that I did not expect it, and I enjoyed it. Particularly as we mentioned, the daughter not throwing a fit or going crazy about the mom joining her college, and the personality of the mom of being able to actually overcome a divorce and still have a positive outlook on other things that she can control. She can't control what her ex-husband wants, but she can control what she can do with her life still and how she wants to breathe that. And she was very kind, and she was an awesome mom to those girls. That her roommate kind of opened up to her too. So it was like definitely a vibe that was nice. I really liked her character, and I think Melissa McCarthy portrayed her very well. But everything else did not work for me. The plot points, the conflicts, the bully, like all those kinds of minor things. I don't want to say we're nitpicking, but those things did take me out of the element that reminded me this is a fictional story. And I think like when those things don't feel authentic in this setting, that's kind of damaging, especially as a comedy film. As a comedy film, you want to enjoy it, but you still want to feel relatable. And I felt like this was unrelatable at times, not particularly in the sense of being a mom going to school, but what you would experience at college, in my personal opinion.
For sure. No, absolutely. I'm right there with you. I too do give it a 2.5 out of 5 rails for pretty much the same reasons you said. Melissa McCarthy was great. She shined. A lot of funny moments. Like I said, this movie, I laughed. Out of all the comedies we've seen this year, I laughed the hardest in this film. Not to say that it was the funniest movie ever, but it did have some really, really hilarious moments to me. But there were a lot of holes in the script and just kind of in the development that I was kind of like, and like I said, not trying to be
twin.
I know. Not trying to be nitpicky, but there are a lot of, for me, a lot of missing details that I wish had been kind of at least addressed.
Yes, for sure.
But it was still a good film, and if you haven't seen it yet, you should go out and see it. I think you'll have a good time. I think it's definitely a feel-good comedy, and I think it's something that it's kind of like it's not just for adults. It's for like teenagers, young adults, older people. I think everybody will get something that they love out of this film. So for sure, go check it out. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. So once again, we just want to remind everyone, we're on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Drop us a comment. Tell us what you thought of the film. If you loved it, if you thought it was super funny, if you hated it, just share your thoughts. We're always open to just engaging with you guys. So drop us a comment. Team Reel-ists, Team REELISTS, no dash. We're available on all podcast platforms. Remind you of that as well. And anything else, Oscar? Final words, final thoughts, final comments?
Don't forget to just give us feedback. iTunes, if you can, we would love it there. But anywhere on our social media, email us. We're the Team Reel-ists. No. Our email is thereelistpodcast@gmail.com. I think that's the first time we've given our email.
Yeah, I think so.
But we want feedback overall. We want to know for our listeners where we're at, how we can improve, or things you guys want to hear more of. If maybe we're covering something not enough, or maybe we're doing too much of unnecessary covering, whatever. We want to know where we're at with you guys, because we definitely want to make sure you guys are enjoying us.
Yeah, that's the number one important thing.
Yes,
your guys' happiness in terms of listening to this podcast.
Okay, people will be like, I need financially support to be happy.
Right. Okay, well, we all do. Trust me, you're not the only one.
I need a dog sitter this weekend. That would make me really happy.
I know, we're going to start getting some crazy requests. Like, sorry, guys. Let me retract on that. No, but that's awesome. Yes, for sure. What Oscar said. Ditto. Give us feedback, guys. We're here, ready to listen. And thank you guys so much for listening. And
thank you.
We will see you next time.